Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about Symbiote Supreme and why this week Summer of Pain actually kind of reinstated some belief, some trust in the fact that Kabam can actually make good, fun, engaging fights, and genuinely how very creative and somewhat brilliant design for this fight, because I think this fight in particular ticks all of the boxes that a Summer of Pain fight should be in my personal head, in my imagination. Now, keep in mind that this is my opinion, my perspective. You're perfectly wrong to hate, you're perfectly right to have your opinion and hate this fight and whatever else. But from my point of view, this was pretty much a breath of fresh air in the event that had gone stale and somewhat underwhelming in the last 3 weeks. And I'm not saying that that is the only opinion that should count, and I by no means want any content to be tailored specifically for me, my desires, and my needs. However, when Summer of Pain started the first 3 weeks, I actually genuinely liked the fights, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. The first fight, we had Rogue, that was doable with pretty much any champion in the game, so long as you have it ranked up appropriately or have enough damage output. And I liked it because it's very, very skill intensive, but not roster demanding at all. Then we had Mr. Sinister, that was a bit more roster demanding, but you could get it done with like a 4-star Sunspot and a whole bunch of different options. So there were more than enough answers to one-shot that fight and not rely on any item use. Then we had Mysterio, which is obviously quite mixed reception, but I personally found it still to be fairly engaging, relatively enjoyable. Might not necessarily be the best idea to have the offensive options as limited as they were, but at the end of the day, for an event that's titled Summer of Pain, and I did think it is an achievable goal, and I did like that fight as well. Now, if you didn't, again, that's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to tell you how to feel. However, then we had the Darkhawk, the Venom, and the Hydrodaptoid, which came with these Thronebreaker objectives, and you could notice the difference in fights quite immediately. And all of those fights, well, they were just kind of boring, especially the Venom one. The Venom one, again, was a fight that could be done with any and every single champion if you play in a boring manner. Venom fight, hit the opponent, don't get hit, don't use special attacks, don't use heavy attacks, and you can use, I don't know, Airwalker to win that fight. Whatever you want. There was literally no limitation on that fight, and obviously there were better options, there were worse options, but still, it just didn't feel fun, and it didn't feel engaging, to a point where, I don't know, I was becoming less interested in Summer of Pain. Obviously, everybody is interested in the rewards, but up until then, I was looking forward to each fight every week to have fun. And for me, it's also quite important whether the content is fun and engaging. And I'm not necessarily talking about the difficulty level here. And I do not want people to kind of like misinterpret what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying make them super hard. I'm not saying that cow players shouldn't get easy access to Thronebreaker. Not at all. I'm super happy for everybody who's going to become Thronebreaker because of this event. I'm super happy for all of the Thronebreaker players that are gonna get a good chunk of rewards for moderate amount of effort at best. However, I did not feel compelled by this content. I don't know, entertained, enjoyed. I did the streams, I did the videos, I did the guides, I did the solos, but most of them were fairly didn't just feel like it's a very special, I don't know, Summer of Pain type of fight. It just felt like, yeah, here's another champion to beat down on. But then we had this Symbiote Supreme fight. And the Symbiote Supreme fight genuinely reinvigorated my faith in Kabam fight designers. Because I think this fight is perfect. And there again will be a lot of people who disagree with me, and fine. But let me explain, at the very least, before you jump to the keyboard, why I think this fight design for Summer of Pain is absolutely, well, as good as anybody could have hoped. Because for Cavalier players or players with lower and limited rosters, there are easy one-shot options. We have Red Guardian, we have iHulks, we have Human Torches, we have Things, we have Mr. Negatives, I don't know, Overseers, and a whole bunch of different champions that can get very easy one-shot down this guy. Champions that are immune to Nullify, champions that do not gain buffs, stuff like that. So there are easy one-shot options for everybody who has access to this event. Perfect, right? That's what you want to kind of like make it easier for the people with less developed rosters. And then we have the solo objectives. Now let's take a look at the solo objectives and the champions that kind of qualify for them. The first solo objective is Cosmic. And Cosmic class has 39 champions, which constitutes for about 20% of the total champions in the game, nearly 20%. However, obviously, this fight specifically counters Cosmic class, and there are a handful of good options. There are a handful of champions that can get in the solo, but all of the Cosmic champions, or many of the Cosmic champions, have a very high damage output. So even if you don't have the best options, you can nuke the fight down. This is where it differs from Mr. Sinister, or maybe from Mysterio, where it was a lot harder to chip away at the fight and get it down to like 3-4 revives. Here, it is very easily achievable with like any champion that's ranked up. Hey, if you don't have any better options, I know, take in Corvus, drop in 4-5 revives, and you're gonna get the fight done, right? But if you have the perfect ideal options, like Angela, like, I don't know, Hercules, I have seen solo with Hela, I have seen solo with Hyperion, even though that typically takes a couple of revives as well. Thor can get it down with 1-2 revives. So there are champions that can solo this fight with a mixture of skill and or luck, pending which option you choose. There are plenty of champions that can, like, you know, just revive your way down to it with a handful of revives without needing 10, 20, 30 revives. And that makes the event more compelling to me, because this fight in particular, rewards good play as well as the roster for the group that is competing for the highest rewards. So in a sense, the people who are competing for the Cavalier rewards up to milestone 6, they don't have these requirements and they will find an easy solo option. When you're reaching for the top, the best of the best rewards, some of the best rewards in the game that we have seen to date, then you have much harder task ahead of you, as it should be, and you can still get it done itemless. Or if you can't be bothered, or if you don't have the best options, or if you're maybe not the best player, or whichever the case, you can still push through that fight with sheer effort and some revives. So I do like that a lot with the Cosmic. And that same argument kind of applies here for the Mercenary group as well, where we have a couple options that can definitely one-shot. Like a highly ranked Luke Cage will be able to one-shot. I think Hitmonkey one-shot has been recorded. Domino is an easy one-shot. Then we have another handful of options that can chip it down with a few revives, probably like Electra, Black Widow, Deadly Origins, Massacre can get it done, and we have Taskmaster, who also can one-shot it, which is the way I got my one-shot in on the stream, and he actually covers 2 objectives, but I had the other one already done. And again, it works perfectly in a sense where it tests your skill, it also tests your roster, and if you are Thronebreaker, then it is very feasible that you will have one of these 20 champions, which constitute for 10% of the total champions in a game at relatively decent level. Now, I'm sure that there will be players who have none of these ranked up past, I don't know, 5-star rank 1 or 5-star rank 4 or 6-star rank 1. But that, again, kind of speaks to the strategy where I have been advising people to maybe be a bit more cautious with their rank up resources, and keep in mind that they might need to rank something up for these Summer of Pain events, which I think is well justified and well worth if you end up ranking a good champion up in order to get these. It's not like you just gonna use, I don't know, Black Widow, Deadly Origins, or Hitmonkey for this one thing. You can carry on using those champions further on as well, like Luke Cage, for instance. And the last thing, obviously, we have the Control Denial, which again fits the same description. Control Denial, we have Taskmaster, who can get in the one-shot, Mr. Sinister, who I have seen get in the one-shot, and I believe Yellow Jacket can get it done. And we have a group of players who can get it done with, and Voodoo as well, one-shot. And then we have a group of champions that can do it with 1, 2, 3 revives, based on like what you have available to you. So what I'm getting with all of this is that as far as a fight design goes, in my head, it pretty much ticks all of the boxes, because we have easy one-shots for people who just want to get the fight done, completed, especially cow players who are trying to push on to the next week in order to get, Thronebreaker. And then for Thronebreakers, for people who are higher in the food chain, who are meant to have higher difficulty events and fights, do have them. And on top of all of that, there are options for solos, there are options for a revive or two, and there is an option to push through with more revives. If you want, obviously, you still have access to your boosts, your power boosts, everything else. And the brilliant thing, that kind of subtle touch that made this fight possible, was the fact that they increased the health of Symbiote Supreme, but they did not really increase the attack here. If you take a look at all other Summer of Pain fights, attack values ranged from 12 to 16,000. This attack value is 3,700, and it is a very, very deliberate decrease in attack here, with the idea that those buffs will get detonated. You will take direct damage. However, you will survive moderate amount of these detonations in order to let you either chip away longer or let you get in those one-shots with some of the champions who otherwise would not be able to. If the attack value here would not have been modified, vast majority of the champions would be pretty much dead in about 20-something seconds in the fight once he nullifies all the buffs. So yeah, I just want to give huge props to whoever is the person who designed this fight in particular. I personally found it refreshing and fun and engaging. I also could appreciate the level of detail that went into the nodes, where pretty much everything that was put together made a lot of sense, where against Symbiote Supreme, he nullifies buffs whenever he enters his first phase, basically. So if not for close encounters, you could just stop hitting him and let the buffs fall off before he enters the phase where he would nullify him, but that is made a lot harder because of close encounters. Powerful keeps this fight relevant, where you can't just cheese it with like magic and other power control options like Guillotine 2099 and so forth. Placebo is obviously the big trickster, and then we have Redoubled Determination, Band of Damballa, and buff duration to add even more level of difficulty to these fights, which kind of directly counters all of these special solo objectives, and they are deliberately made so that there are very few options, but there are options to one-shot, and then there are a handful of options to get it down with a revive or two. So all of that put together, I hope that this is the level of detail that we can see and expect and rely on upcoming weeks, on upcoming fights, and upcoming events. Because as far as boss fights go, as far as challenges go, this is just about as balanced and as well designed as we have seen anything to be in MCOC. Maybe besides less special fights like, Nameless Thanos and Gwynmaster and Grandmaster, stuff like that. But as an average day-to-day champion that gets nodes thrown on it and that gets given these special champion requirements, this is about as perfect, elegant, and thoughtful as a fight can get designed. And I don't want to get my nodes too brown, but whoever made this fight has my respect for this fight alone. They get a free, free bashing pass for whenever they next fuck up, because this fight genuinely fun, it's tricky, it's challenging. When I was streaming yesterday, it made me consider using an item, which is something that I specifically talked in this event, where I would be happy if they forced the revive out of me, and they nearly did, but I end up getting it all done without items as well. And so it was kind of feels good moment for me, but at the same time, I could not help but to appreciate the level of challenge that was presented. And the more I think about this fight, the more I like it. So that is what I think. Let me know what you guys think about this week's Summer of Pain fight. And remember, remain civil in the comments, and you are perfectly free to have a different opinion. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. My opinion is no more important than yours, nor is your important. My opinion is no more important than your opinion, and your opinion is no more important than mine. Keep that in mind, drop a comment, let me know what you think, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya! Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about